back. Chapters 2 and 3 deal with the biblical and historical bases of worship. As we look in the scripture, we'll see a number of Old Testament references of how the early Jews would worship through the tabernacle and how that transitioned into the temple and what the differences are. And then later in chapter 3, we'll look at the historical basis of how the early church moved from the house church and what they did in some of the early documents. Unfortunately, we don't have a bulletin from First Baptist Church, Jerusalem. Okay, they just didn't do it back then. But we do have other documents that we'll look at and see, and that will inform us as to what was going on in that early church. And then we'll walk through the period of the medieval times when the fall of Rome and caused such chaos, and how the church really was the center of all knowledge. All learning was in these monasteries, and how they protected it, and what developed out of that through the Reformation, and specifically three of the great reformers, Zwingli, Luther, and Calvin. What they did, and some of the differences between them, especially related to worship in the Lord's Supper. And then we'll move on to how our worship developed from that Reformation to the present day. I think you're going to find these two chapters informative and encouraging as we look at our practice today. God bless.